Hi folks, good afternoon to you. Let me just share some headline numbers with you before we go and talk about what a wonderful broadcast we've got this afternoon. Pre-pandemic, we had an economy, the creative and cultural sector, contributing £111 billion to the UK economy. That's some big numbers there. We're talking about in the UK theatre sector alone, 34 million people enjoyed going to the theatre on an annual basis. We're talking about a sector that employs 360,000 people plus. Lots more statistics I can throw at you. And then we had the pandemic hit. Lots of sectors in the UK economy got affected. And the creative and cultural sector, performing arts in particular, is a fast growing sector and a jewel in the UK economy. It has a big impact on the fabric of our lives. It has a social impact. It's soft power for the UK. So faced with all that situation, if you're involved in that sector, it's like devastation time. Now, this afternoon is not about doom and despondency. It's about an inspiring story of three very talented, creative, innovative sisters working together to do something about when the pandemic hit the sector in Scotland, what they did. I was very fortunate to come across them in early May. So before we actually bring them on, let me just share some of the backstory here, just to give you a taste and a flavour of what's going to come in our conversation. For those of you who aren't able to listen on live, hit the hashtag replay. If you've got any questions and answers and comments, throw them in there and we'll do our best to actually address them. So here's a little flavour of the three dynamic trio.
Revival is a high-energy drive-in variety show completely adhering to social distancing guidelines.
We are sisters who want to do our bit to bring back live theatre to our home, Scotland. The arts industry is struggling in the current climate. Countless cinemas and theatres are already in difficulty or permanently closed.
Everyone who relies on the arts industry for employment is suffering from the impact of this virus.
And we don't know when things are going to get back to normal. As performers, we have personally felt the effects of COVID-19 on the arts industry. This is what inspired us to move forward using our own unique skills.
We wanted to create a way to watch and enjoy live theatre that is completely safe and accessible for everyone.
Revival is a way to bring back the joy of live entertainment and create a platform for multi-talented professionals across Scotland.
This is a new and innovative way of providing live theatre while viewing from the safety of your own car and can help Scotland find a new normal as we move forward.
Isn't that marvellous? So what we're going to be talking about now, I'm just going to bring them in. This is about turning an idea. It's got great parallels for all sectors of business, turning that idea into some degree of reality. So without further ado, without any more sort of from me, let me bring on the three. Hello, how are you? Fantastic. Listen, before we carry on, we've seen a great little video here. We're going to talk about that in a few moments. No particular order. Would you like to introduce yourselves to our listeners and viewers, please?
Well, I'm Rohanne. I am a professional dancer, so I've got a background in performing around the world on cruise ships and in shows all over the UK. And yeah, here I am now.
Perfect.
I'm Victoria. I am normally an actor and singer. And yeah, I've worked all over the UK. And now we are doing this. I'm Harriet. I am actually a biomedical science graduate, and now I'm doing this.
So listen, you three, that video that we saw, that clip, that was from something else. We're going to come back to that where it positions itself. So take us back then, will you? So when obviously you've got good careers developing here, pandemic hits the UK, Scotland included. So what was going through your mind? How did you react to it first of all?
We saw lots of our friends and people in the industry who we work with, and everything just stopped completely and utterly. Rohanne was meant to be doing a show this summer. It couldn't go ahead. We saw friends who were on cruise ships who had to be sent back. The industry completely stopped for everybody involved, not just performers. And then we were like, oh, okay. And just spent the first couple of weeks of lockdown not really sure what we were doing. And then one night we were on Instagram and we saw these drive-in live shows being done in Denmark and Germany. And we were like, oh, that's amazing. look at what they're doing. Why can't we do that here? Why can't this be the next step as this country that's only a couple of weeks ahead of us in where we were in COVID, and they're already doing these? Why can't we?
So were you all watching the same program at the same time, or?
So I think Rohanne found it and then showed us it.
Yeah, I was just scrolling, and we were just having a chill evening anyway. And I was like,
Yeah.
I've seen this thing, and it's so cool. Like, I want to try it. At that point, that was just an idea. We were literally we didn't ever think that we would ever get to the point where we actually came now, and we're 2 weeks out of putting on a show. It was just an idea, and we were like, we never put on a show before. We'd been in a lot of shows and been through the kind of rehearsal process, but not as far back as the before rehearsal process. Yeah.
So Harriet, obviously you're a biomed. You're in this collective here, so all of you are contributing magnificently. So how did they persuade you to get involved?
Well, we were, as I say, we were watching this Instagram, and I saw it and was like, "That's a really good idea," and I just decided, yeah, I wanted to be part of it. I knew as soon as I saw it, there's something I want to be part of. I grew up in the industry with all my sisters and family doing it, and I was just like, I want to be part of this. I want to bring something that's giving back, be proud of all the work I'm doing, which I am. So I'm loving it.
So what was the moment then that turned that, oh, that would be nice, to actually thinking, do you know what, we're going to grab it by the scruff and actually we're going to do something with this idea?
I think we put it out to a couple of friends and we're like, oh, do you think this would work?
Yeah.
And just kind of spread it out a little bit. And then we were like, oh, this actually could work. And then we put it out a bit more okay. And then I think it was actually coming to speak to you. Yeah, we was one of the first people that we came to speak to. And we were like, do you think this could be a feasible, workable idea with somebody who knows more about money and accounts and if things working on that? And that kind of then turned us to find out where we are. We were like, okay, we can do this. It's going to be tough, but we can do this.
I mean, I think one of the things, that's a great example of, so you've got a brilliant idea, you market tested it, you actually ask people about what they think, you get a bit of feedback. And I have to say, when you approach me now, and I think the listeners have got to realise that from your idea, when you approached me towards the sort of mid-May, 22nd of May, I think it was, that date is in my mind now. I'm thinking, oh, this is strange. I've got a request from Scotland. What's going on here? I know we had a chat pretty much over the weekend here. So you had this idea. You knew you had some legs in there. You knew some people were interested in there. So, and usually a lot of people don't necessarily think about the planning side of it, the money side of it. So was there anything in terms of your sort of makeup or your friends, family that made you decide to take it seriously, so to speak?
I think we were just all so inspired by the idea. Yeah. And we just wanted to see if it was possible. So we just kind of ran with it.
Okay.
Actually having good time because we weren't doing anything else. So we had the time to look into it actually properly.
I think all three of us, because of COVID, we all came back together in our family home. So it's been really nice to be able to work off each other.
Understood. So so we had a catch up. So we took that idea, and I think I'm just going to share with our viewers, listeners. Let's add that on here so it reminds me of what we're going to talk about. So we got the idea, and then you already had. Did you have an idea about what the shape of the event was going to be like? What you wanted, on the actual days itself?
So we kind of knew that we wanted to go with a variety show, mainly because it lends really, really well to dealing with socially distancing as a show because it's one act on, one act off, and you can get lots and lots of stuff, so there's something for everybody. Also, Rohanne's had a lot of experience as a dancer and as a choreographer working in events and shows like this. So we were like, let's utilize her skills.
Oh, why not? Yeah, brilliant. So that's just in terms of, so we got this idea, we're moving it into something a bit more concrete. We had a conversation, and the next thing then, in terms of, you had a pretty good idea about what you wanted. Did you have any idea about things like where the venue was going to be, who was going to be involved, what it was going to involve to do this massive project?
At first, no. We didn't. To be honest, we didn't have any idea at first what the venue and stuff. It was because we did go and have a look around a few different places before going with the place we've gone with now. we just kind of had this idea. We knew we wanted a show. We knew we wanted to drive in, and we knew that we needed like a screen and a stage. But we didn't know where it was going to be.
Where we get the screen and the stage.
Yeah.
We kind of just went, you know, we can do this, and just kept going until we could.
That's a great shame. So did you not? You weren't daunted then by the size of the project? Did anyone try and dissuade you from doing it?
No, actually, I think most people have been quite supportive.
I've had one or two friends be like, "Oh," especially because it's so different for me. Being like, "Oh, that's unusual," and be like, "Are you sure you can do this?" And I was like, "Yeah," and just we've all been really confident that we can work together and do it. And
we've also had so many people right now just want to help and bring something back to the arts industry.
For sure.
So, when we've just gone out there and if there's something that we don't know, we've asked and we've said, like, how can you help us? How can we help you? How can we make this an equal partnership as an employment thing for both of us right now? So it's been really great because people are willing to help, but you just have to ask, I think, is the thing that we don't know.
Yeah. Absolutely. So when you got together, then, I mean, we're going to come to some of the numbers and the business side of things in a moment. So how did you decide between the three of you as a team who was going to do what, how the project was going to be managed?
Well, I think for us, we kind of looked at what our skills were, and we are kind of doing things all together, but each one of us has a main role, or has the kind of final say in what has happened for each of the sector of the show. Utilizing our skills, basically. That's how we decided.
Because pretty much, would it be fair to say, Rohanne and Victoria, you've got the artistic creative background here. So was that some of the way that you divided up?
So Rohanne mainly is dealing with the show and the creative side of the show, and I've helped in some aspects of it as well with music and things like that.
Yeah, she's more singing, so she can do the singing side where I can't sing.
Hattie has done events with her rugby club and with horse riding events that she did growing up. So Hattie's basically been working with our front of house management and logistics and that kind of thing. So it really works well with her logical brain, which is just what we needed. And then I've also done marketing for some small fringe festivals and some bits and pieces and for some companies. So then I took on that side. So we've each managed to use what skills that we've had.
We've overlapped a lot of stuff too. So even though we've all got the lead roles, we all had to say on what was actually part of the show. We've all had to say on costumes. We've all had to say on every company we've used, because it's a good thing that we're doing. But we are all have our own manager or bits. But it's all a good decision.
That's great. So have you, I mean, just like any team here, have you ever had situations where you may not necessarily have agreed a direction or something to do? How have you resolved that if it has happened?
I mean, it's quite good because we're sisters.
Yeah.
So I feel like if we don't agree on something, we'll just tell each other. And then if we get a little bit annoyed, we just take 10, 20 minutes away, then we can come back and we can discuss it and we'll work out a solution. But that's kind of is useful because we are sisters, that we can just talk in that way and it's fine.
I think we're not afraid to not offend each other, but I think if it's a colleague or something, you might not want to say something, but if you're sisters, you're a bit more open to say it.
Yeah, I suppose with sisters, you can be a bit more direct with each other and you know that it comes from a good place, you know, there's nothing bad acrimony. So that's an interesting point, because I think if you'd got together, maybe when I say strangers or friends and did that, you're quite right, you probably have to hold a little bit back if it's not going quite there. How have your family been in all of this? Have they been very supportive of you as well?
Yes, extremely supportive. Our mum is currently right now helping Diamante. Our dad has been helping, he's ex-military, so helping with security and risk assessment. So they've been helping us so much, and our older sister as well has been helping us with a lot of things. So you've been lucky that our family are so supportive and actually willing to give their time to help as well.
Yeah.
That's brilliant. So I think we've got some great stuff here going. So we've got an idea. You've recognised that you need to get some extra support and skills to actually make it happen. I love the spirit by there that you've got. Some people would have thought, you know, that's too ambitious. We've got a very short window. So from May, June, July, August, 2 weeks time, I believe it starts. We're going to talk about the show in a few moments' time. So you've got great inspiration, you're working well together, you've got support from other people. So when it came to the actual number side, the planning stage, so at the beginning, when we had an idea about what your event was going to look like, when we had an idea what was going to happen, we then converted that into how much it was going to cost and where the money was going to come from. What was your immediate reaction then when we converted all that into the financial story?
Terrified for a short while.
Yeah, for us, I think, especially me and Vicky as creative people, we've got all these ideas of feathers, sparkles, like fireworks. So when we see the numbers, we'll be like, we probably need to find that money. So we figure it out as we go.
So Hattie, all of this. So obviously, you've got massive impact on the group as well. So coming as a non-creative here, what were your thoughts about when we showed how much it was going to cost, what it was going to involve?
I think it was a bit daunting, but I think it was okay. It was actually a lot of the quotes we got in from certain places that would scare me, because we'd be like, we want to spend this much, and they'd be like, we want to make you spend this much. But I think that's good because it's made us learn how to barter a bit, and it's made us learn how to a lot of people have been so helpful and giving us really good deals, and because they just want to help right now, which is
for sure.
Brilliant.
Absolutely. So in terms of for those people who may not be familiar with arts events here, and I think there's a lot of parallels to any business here. So we've got story, we've got the idea that's converted into that story. We've done a cash flow. What's the biggest cost, would you say, that most people don't realise when it comes to putting on an event of this nature?
Our biggest cost is probably the technical equipment.
Yeah.
So even things like the generator to power it. Yeah. We didn't even think about. So you've got your stage and our screens for us, and then you need your generators. All this technical equipment is all added up.
Yeah. I think this is especially because we're doing a new show where it has to be driving, it has to be outside for it to go ahead.
For sure.
A lot of other people where they can hire a theatre and a lot of that equipment is already there, or they can hire a space and the equipment is there. As we've hired a cricket pitch, and then we've had to build the stage and all the equipment on top of that. So I think usually for a show you might not have the same expense that we've had, but because we're adapting for a time that can be COVID safe and that we can have an event that people can drive into, there's been new expenses that are just different. Yeah, we've had to adapt it.
Okay, perfect. Now, in terms of at the very beginning, the clip that we showed at the introduction, that was part of, if you don't mind me sharing this with the viewers, part of your crowdfunding campaign. So what made you think about, because obviously money coming in is really going to be important. If you've got no cash, you can't do anything. So what made you think about the crowdfunding campaign, and how did that come about?
Well, I think that we wanted it to go through as a way to just help us get started. And it also, I think, gave us some confidence that there were people who were supporting us and who wanted to help us out as well and helping out with our story. I think we wanted to just to see if we could. We knew that we would have other resources of our own personal money or things that we would put in as well. But this would allow us to create a better show, or a more extravagant show to the way that we would want. But we would already be able to do what we needed to do because we knew we wanted to put this on, and we would always find a way to put this on because of the reasons why we're putting this on.
There's a lot of funding as well has been stopped because it's going towards really good causes with COVID right now. So we understand why the funding's been stopped. We had to find alternative methods.
Yeah, completely. What would have been local council funding and things like that would go into arts are currently into helping people pay for their rent, pay for things like that, which is completely understandable and needs to go there. Yeah. But it means that as a creative field, you have to find other ways to do this right now, because creating an event like this isn't cheap. But it's still you'll find the way. I mean, we have it.
It's interesting you say that. I think they did some studies, and I think they sound typically for every pound that people spend on creating the art, there's a spin-off effect about double that goes into the local economy. There's the impact on people's well-being. Have you found that your friends, as you've been talking about this and getting the promotion out there, Has there been an appetite of people looking forward to the event?
Yeah, definitely. A lot of our friends, we've got a lot of friends that are interested in coming to see it and are just excited. A lot of people that are generally, or they would have gone to see the show or seen any show or been out, are very interested in coming to see it outdoors. A new way of doing it, but we would have seen theatre anyway, or we're planning to.
Yeah.
Well, we're gonna share a clip of the show in a moment here, but I think it's fair to say to viewers that you'd still like people to come and buy tickets as well.
Yeah,
of course.
There's
There's still some going.
Let's go. So let's come back. So we've got this here, and Hattie, it was a good point that you raised about the skills that you got. So you're all becoming good negotiators. I think when we first spoke here, there were some big challenges that you had in terms of going back to venues, negotiating with venues, saying, "Oh, actually, can you do something else for us?" Talking to other people. You've had to learn those skills pretty quickly. You've got a very short window there. What's the biggest skills that each of you individually? I'll go with you, Victoria, first of all. So something that you weren't quite used to before. Is there a particular skill that you found, a talent that you've had, a business talent that you've acquired?
What's been the biggest one for me? Talking on the phone. I hated talking on the phone.
Okay.
I have to call so many people and speak to them on the phone. And I know it's not a massive business skill, but I think it's a massive personal growth achievement. Because I did really enjoy it. But the best way to talk to people is to talk to them face to face, or as face to face as you can during the pandemic. So it's been a big learning curve for me. That was fun. Yeah.
Rohanne, you're on the spot now. So what was yours?
Mine is kind of similar. So I've been dealing a lot with the performers and stuff. But as a performer, I'm used to being the one applying for the jobs and going from that way. And or through an agent. So normally we go get jobs through an agent. But I've been now on the other side, talking to the agent, trying to get the performer. And for me, it's been a whole flip around from what I'm normally used to. I'm normally on the other side of the casting process. So that's definitely been a new thing for me. That's been the interesting learning curve. And dealing with agents from the other side of when they're trying to bargain for their person.
What about yourself, Hattie?
I think personally it's not being afraid to ask people for stuff or ask for changing dates for payments or asking for just not being afraid and not being afraid to maybe be a bit cheeky and be like, actually no, or be like or just turn on someone and be like, we can't do it at that price, or we can't do it on that schedule. And realizing people will actually want to help and people actually want the business, so that they'll try and structure themselves around it.
Being upfront and honest.
Yeah, I think it's, and not worrying that you're going to say something and upset someone, because actually it's business. You're not. They don't. It's not an emotional thing.
I think that's a great. I think those comments you three are fantastic, because you're quite right. It resonates with a lot of people. A lot of people, not just in the art sector, are not very comfortable about talking about money, because you focus on the art, you focus on the getting it out there, and it's great that you've embraced that ability. And you're quite right, being straight, being honest with people. Certainly, has a great impact as well. So do you think, in terms of, we're going to share a little clip of the show, by the way, so in a moment, are there things that you're still not comfortable with in terms of a business environment, you want to pick up on?
I mean, I think for me, talking about money, we still do it, but I'd still, whenever I do it, I send an email, I do it up, and I'm like, oh my God, was that right? Oh no, and until I get a response, I'm there the whole time, I'm refreshing my emails, checking that I'm not going to anybody.
I feel guilty pestering people, because I email people all the time, and I'm like, we need this today, and I'll email them 4 times that day. Or we'll be out marketing, and I'll be like, shared every day this week into hundreds of groups, trying to get people to look at this. And I'm like, I feel like it's a bit much, but at the same time, more.
Listen, so this is brilliant. So you've got some great skills that you're learning. Do you think those skills are going to be very so once the shows come, we're going to talk about the show in a second, as I said. Can you see yourself adapting and developing these skills and applying them in other parts of your business careers?
Yeah, we want to keep doing more shows and adapting to more events. So definitely we're learning as we're going, and we're we will adapt for future to be able to do things faster and more efficient, I think, because we will have learned these skills. And we'll have already made connections.
Yeah, we want to keep making events that we're proud of and that we know are for stuff that makes us happy.
Yeah, and keep making theatre and keep making things like this when it seems like it can't happen. And keep showing that theatre and performance and all these things are accessible to everyone, and that it's not just for certain people who live in London and have tons of money. It's for everybody, and everybody can enjoy it. And you can do that safely, and you can do that from the comfort of your own space.
Yeah. Perfect. Now listen, what we're going to do, let's just take a comfort break here. I'm just going to give us an insight into the show that's going to come up, this fantastic event in 2 weeks' time. And I want to spend the last few minutes just talking about the show, the delivery, and what you got yet to do in the last couple of weeks, really. So 2 weeks today, they're all action stations. So what we'll do, let me see if I can find the clip I want to play. And we're just going to take you off screen, and we're just going to play a clip and give people a taste of the brilliance they're going to have in 2 weeks' time. So, tell me, that was one of the trailers that you made, I think, in the early days, was it?
Yeah.
So, tell me, we've got 2 weeks to go. So, we talked about the cash flow story. Did you find that cash story? I know it was scary when you did it. Did you find it a useful exercise to go through?
Oh, yeah, definitely. It keeps, I don't know, it kept give us an idea of the kind of financial side which we weren't as knowledgeable on. So, it definitely was necessary for us to understand how all that worked, was to go through that process.
It's also good for us to know exactly, have it all planned so that we weren't going into it blind, and just we had that at least we knew this is a framework that we're working around and we need to stick to as close to this as we can.
Yeah.
Well, and just
And do you think you've been quite disciplined in keeping to that plan?
Yeah.
I think there's always things that pop up that you didn't budget for, you weren't expected, but we've really tried our best to keep to the budget or under the budget as much as we can, because we have to. It's if we go over, we don't have the money. So,
I mean, to be fair, I was very impressed by it, because I think when we first did the exercise, it was as much you then literally went off and said, right, we know we've got to try and get a better venue cost. We're going to try and drive these things down. We can challenge it. And you're quite right. And you kept within that framework, which is really good here. So what I'd like to do, tell me a bit more about what's left to do in the next couple of weeks, and tell people about the show itself.
So, well, we start rehearsals at the end of this week, which is when the show really starts coming together. So we've got the dancers coming in first. They'll learn all their numbers, and then we've got acts coming in. Everyone's coming in to literally, we're just trying to stick the show together. So we've got all the fun stuff for us anyway. Get all the sparkles, the costumes, then we put it on the stage, have all the press, and then opening night.
Sorry, Vic. Sorry, where's the event taking place, by the way?
So it's taking place at Scone Palace, which is a historical site just outside of Perth.
Okay.
And we're doing it on their gorgeous grounds that they have there. We're doing it just behind the palace in a cricket pitch that they used to have there. And it's a lovely large open space. You've got beautiful views. So if you don't feel like watching the show, you can watch some hills.
Yeah.
And how do people get hold of tickets, by the way?
They can either go to our website, which is www.rosieglowproductions.com.
Okay.
And they can, or they can go to our ticket distributor, which let's see.
Or just check out our social media and stuff, because we've got so much information on there that we're just putting stuff forward, telling a bit more about what we're doing. Revival itself, the show, is a variety show. So we're going to have magicians and singers and dancers, and we're having a comedian. So there's a bit of everything, and we're doing songs and styles from lots and lots of different eras, from some of the hits that we've had this year to things that are a bit more vintage, and it's just a lot of different things going on. So there will be something for everyone. And it's going to be completely family friendly, which is always good. So your kids can come, your gran can come, you can bring along the dog if you really want. And it's all going to be in your own car. So that was one of the nice things that we could do. That means that anybody can come at any time, and if you want to have it a little bit quieter or a little bit louder, you have full control of the sound, full control of what you see. So it's really, really accessible for absolutely everybody that wants to be there. And we're also giving a little percentage of our profits towards an arts charity called Acting for Others. So by buying a ticket, you are actively helping the arts. So that's something that you can do. So by buying this ticket, you are then giving back. So
perfect. Great combination. So listen, what I'd like to do before we wrap the show up, so if you had to think about it, I'll ask each of you individually, and I'll start with Victoria. What do you think is the single biggest challenge? I'll ask one question to each of you first, and I'll ask another question. What's the biggest challenge that you feel you've experienced from putting this whole event? Nice, easy question.
I think the biggest challenge has just been, learning so much so quickly. It's been non-stop for the last couple of months, because not only were we putting on the show, we also started our own company at the same time, which in itself is work to get yourself a standing.
Absolutely.
I was doing a lot of the social media, so learning about Facebook algorithms and ads and all those things has been using a lot of brain space. But yeah, that's been the biggest thing.
Rohanne, can I ask the same question of you, please?
Same question. I think it's been, time has been the hardest thing. Fitting in time to get everything in, and I've been still working during COVID, so I've been going to work early mornings and coming back and then trying to figure out all this stuff, and it's just that's been the biggest challenge. And then learning new things, especially like hiring all this tech and stuff. All of this was very new, and figuring out, we might need this also, and this, all these things that we had never considered before that we might need, was coming up. But we were getting there.
And Hassie, I suppose I'm going to ask you the same question.
I think, again, time frame has been really difficult. It's because, I've had like 3 months to do a show that would usually take people a good few months, who just decided we were doing it. Also, I found I've had to pick up a lot of new skills, like learning how to set up licensing stuff, and learning about insurance, learning about risk assessments, lots of stuff which I didn't realize I'd have to learn. I think learning all that in such a short time, being up until the early hours of the morning writing documents so get off by the next day, has been fun.
What I've loved about all three of you, I've loved working with you. You've got great positivity, you've got wonderful personalities, and your ideas actually moved from a drawing board to actually 2 weeks to go, and it's going to become a reality. I'm going to ask you another question, if you don't mind, before we wrap up. What's the one tip that you would share with others if they're thinking, a similar thing, putting on an event, whether it's a business event or an arts event?
Believe in yourself, and believe that your ideas have worth, and that you can do things, because I think the only thing that can really stop you is your own self-doubt.
I think you've got to not be too proud that you can't ask for help.
Perfect. Rohanne, it looks like you're going to finish this off.
I would just say, just go for it. If you have an idea, like we just had an idea, and we were like, let's just go, like just try. And if you don't actually make those first steps into like approaching someone, and don't be afraid to literally approach someone who might know a little bit better than you, but you just have to take those first steps. And if you don't, then it's not going to go anywhere. Just give it a go.
Wonderful. Listen, that's perfect. So let me just wrap up, everybody. So we've got 3 inspiring sisters from here. Doesn't matter whether wherever you are in the UK. You've gone from an idea into something reality. We talked about believing in yourself. We've talked about looking for others who can supplement your skill set. We're looking at planning. Obviously, we're talking about money, but you've got to actually still have passion and belief in the idea to actually make it happen there as well. 2 weeks' time, the event's going to happen. So if you want to beat those lockdown blues, if you want to get something inspirational and enjoyable, the event's in Scotland. So if you're in Scotland, obviously, go down, check it out. One question I was going to ask you there, in terms of, have you had much financial support in terms of getting this from an idea into reality?
We've had what we got from our crowdfunder, but most of it has been what we could either put in ourselves or we've managed to get through loans.
Yeah.
We are still waiting to hear from Creative Scotland, which is the arts council up here, but actually support-wise from institutions, we've not really had any. It's just been from what we can do, where we can save, and just going forward blindly.
Well, listen, what I would say is you 3 have done magnificently well. I know you've got a lot more work to do. I know we're not quite at the finishing line. So Creative Scotland, if you're listening, we think you're wonderful. Put your hand in your pocket, give these 3 some money. Local authorities, businesses out there, this is a great story to get connected with. And I would suggest that check out the Revival website, buy a ticket, give them some support, give them some money. So they use their own funds. They borrowed some money. I'm sure their parents would be quite happy if you actually provided some funding. So I don't think it's too embarrassing. So Creative Scotland, we love you. Business Scotland, we love you. Put your hand in your pockets and help them 3 out. So listen, you 3. We're going to play out with a tail end of your show. Thank you very much for sparing the time this afternoon to come and speak to us. We wish you well. I'm going to talk to you 3 later on anyway. If there's any final things you'd like to say to our audience before we part company?
Have a wonderful day.
I can't say further than that. Listen, you 3, fantastic. Have a fantastic afternoon, and thanks very much for coming to share your story with us.
No worries.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.